this is something new for the Vanity Prodcast. This is the first video edition because I have a special guest lined up to come in here, and we're doing this over Zoom, so we could actually see each other and have a good conversation. I want to welcome in the lead singer, creator of the band Filter, Mr. Richard Patrick.
I really don't respond a lot to podcasts and stuff just because I'm so damn busy. I'm freaking busy as hell. And so I apologize to the entire podcast community that it's hard for me to pull away from my musical stuff that I have to do.
Are you working on new Filter stuff right now?
I'm working on Filter, but I'm also doing scores for movies and TV, and so that's kind of, there's two careers happening at the same time.
Sure.
I've been working on a Filter record. Are we starting?
We can. Yeah. I mean, is that fine?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Are you cool if I record the video of it too?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, so we're working on the new Filter. Well, for starters, I wanted to talk about, I guess we'll get into the Filter stuff. 25 years since the release of Short Bus. Does it feel like 25 years to you?
No. It feels it's just bizarre to think of. I think of my life in decades, in like chunks of 10-year periods of time. And, when you're 52, you start realizing like, damn, that was 25 years ago. It was so amazing to release a record. For me, I was like so overwhelmed with pride and happiness, and that still feels fresh. I think it's strange that I've made 6 records since then, or 7. I can't even keep track. But that was a big moment, so it feels fresh. But yeah, it's 25 years. It's insane.
I know part of like the marketing behind that record was you didn't want to use the fact that you had been previously associated with Nine Inch Nails in promoting that, which I think is hugely admirable. Yeah.
No, I had, like, we almost went to blows in the label, because I was like, look, I don't identify myself as Piggy the guitar player anymore, and I wish those guys well, but we're not gonna put that as like my thing.
Sure.
Yeah, they were furious. The label was like, you earned it. You were on tour with Nine Inch Nails, and I'm like, yeah, but if you read into the liner notes, it's almost as if you're just it's because it says Trent Reznor's Nine Inch Nails, and you're automatically kind of put in your place if you read the record cover. You know what I mean? Like, so I just was like, look, I had a great time. I had fun touring with Nine Inch Nails. It was a great time. Trent was a great hang, and we're still friends to this day. I mean,
sure.
we text all the time. But as a young man, a 26-year-old man who just wanted to live on his own and be his own person, I took my leap of faith, and have been very proud of myself and very happy for a long time. But a lot of people are like, wow, you quit Nine Inch Nails? I'm like, yeah. And it wasn't hard. I mean, it was hard to say goodbye to, like, a lot of my friends, because it was a messy kind of like divorce, it was like, well, I'm fucking quitting, you know what I mean? Like a young man, like, I'm quitting, that kind of thing.
Like prideful. But I don't think any separation from any band, like any member leaving, there's always, even if it's, on both, like, amicable, there's still, I feel there's still a tinge of, I don't know if it's anger or something from somebody.
It was a shock to the camp, the Nine Inch Nails camp. It was like, what? Yeah, Rich went off and got a record contract with Warner Brothers, and he's quitting. Like, what? Piggy? He's quit? Like, yeah. But we haven't even really got, like, and they kept saying, like, this next record is going to be completely like the Downward Spiral. This is going to be a completely huge, amazing, massive, successful record, and they're going to make it that way. Interscope was dying to release like the next level of Nine Inch Nails, and I was still like, it's my time. I have to leave. It's just my time to split, and I love everybody, but I just want to be on my own. I want to be on my own and just live in my own world. And I did. Brian Leeskang and I hired Brian afterwards, and I said, because Brian he was working on the Downward Spiral, and then he got kind of, I don't know, laid off or whatever. And then I was like, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. I'm like, get over here. Let's work on Filter. And he was really psyched about it. And then for like 6 months, we just sat there and drank beer and made crazy, kind of punk, kind of grunge, kind of industrial, kind of, loud screaming record. And it just sounded like an angry toddler to me. Short Bus, angry fucking young man, toddler, fucking, screaming person. And I loved it. I was extremely proud of it. And then when Title of Record came around, I was like, okay, I'm going to spread my wings and try and see how artistically I can kind of diverge from, the angry punk band that was Filter, the angry two-man punk band, EDM craziness.
I feel like if somebody had heard Take a Picture for the first time and went, oh, I'm going to check out the rest of this band, and then they listened to Short Bus or like Hey Man, Nice Shot, they would, is this the same band? Because if that's
Right.
your only two examples, then you're kind of might be surprised by the fact that it's the same project.
Well, hopefully, and I don't know if it's really happened, but hopefully my audience is eclectic enough to get the world in between. Because even like, Nirvana had, Tantrum or whatever it was, Tourette's or whatever that song, where it's just noise practically, and then and then All Apologies or something, even so I would hope. But the criticism that I got from the label after Title of Record came out, like later, like when I was working on the Amalgamate, the criticism was, you're too damn diverse within one record. And I'm like, well, yeah, like, like U2 went off and they were like cowboys for a day. And then they're like, no, Joshua Tree was their country record. Unforgettable Fire was their experimental record. Achtung Baby was their German kind of punk record, industrial record.
I think and Pop was their mistake. Like it kind of.
Pop was their mistake. Yeah, Pop was a turd. There's been a few turds lately from them. I'm not going to pick on them. They're my favorite band. They're hands down my favorite band. They're right up there with like Pink Floyd and the Beatles and like, the Rolling Stones and the Deftones.
I hear like all those influence, or even say that again.
The Deftones are way up there too. So,
well, it's like, and there's samples or examples of that in those styles, maybe not those specific bands, but those styles in your music. Like you can hear like, all right, I'm going to take a little bit of like this vibe here and play, which I think is great. Like, for it being too eclectic for one record, I feel like that's kind of cool in a way. Like you don't want a whole album of the same thing. Like you're going to get an album that has something that's going to kick your teeth in, and then something you can like chill to.
There's this funny thing that I do on Instagram where I kind of sing along to like everything. As I come to the studio, I found a way to communicate with my audience again, and that's just to kind of sing, everything from like the Carpenters to, Pantera to Lard to Sly and the Family Stone to, you know what I mean? And it's funny because that's how I listen to music. I listen to music, and like my favorite bands right now are Scarlord and Rez, REZZ and Scarlord.
I've heard of Scarlord, but I don't. Now I'm gonna have to check them out though.
just the greatest scream. He's got a whole different vibe from everybody. He's got this amazing scream that he raps, and it's like rap scream, really heavy hip hop, and but really good. You know, so I'm all over the place. I love listening to everything, and I think that kind of comes out. I think that's what, for scoring, it's the same kind of thing. It's you kind of have to know what the audience needs to feel like, and so I think it's kind of working out that way for me too as well, just to kind of have so many emotions to draw from.
How do you approach making a filter record versus scoring a project? Like, do you have to get into a different mindset between the composition of both of those?
It is. It's a completely different mindset. Filter is mine. Filter is why I quit Nine Inch Nails, right? Like it's like it's my baby, and I get to do whatever I want with it. And to my detriment, like I've got a point now where, like, you know, I'm screaming everything. Like, this new record is basically, I think it's going to be called America, and it's just like, one of the lines in it is, I can't afford my meds, but at least I got a shotgun. Like, you know.
I love the fact that you do not shy away from anything political, especially whether it's social media or in your music.
Well, social media is like just diarrhea anyways. And I love to look at my Instagram kind of like last 10 posts. And it's just like studio shot, you know, Donald Trump being an asshole, studio shot, you know, Mitch McConnell sucks ass. And then car, and then like my kids on a skateboard, and then like a smashed up guitar, and then like, you know, and then Donald, and it's a scatterbrain, as kind of like our society has gotten.
Yeah, and slightly.
And like for the next record, I want it to be like America meme, where the guy's like holding the you know, the guy's holding the American flag and a shotgun, and he's like facing a storm. You know, yeah, famous picture.
Yeah.
Over the top of it. Like that, to me, I'm fascinated with people who are voting against their interests for some completely ridiculous idea that socialism's bad. And like, yeah, but don't you want to get your health care? Well, fucking health care is a mess. I'll tell you what, that Obamacare really fucked us up. And it's just like, I love it. It's the same thing as like our Bud Dwyer, like when he killed himself. Like, what is that? Like, I want to know, what is that? That's why I wrote Hey Man, Nice Shot. It was like, you're holding a press conference to blow your own head off. Like how does that happen in society? How does that kind of happen? And to me, that's what America is doing right now. It's so goddamn stupid, and it's so fucking goddamn motherfucking socialist motherfucking pussies making us watch queers kiss on TV. What the fuck are you doing, man? Like, I get that because I'm from Ohio. I understand that white trash kind of crazy, and I feel like that mixed with a bunch of really like loud, abrasive filter songs is like the only place I got like left in my world. But there's still some ballads, because everybody has to chill at some point.
Sure.
And I still like to write those like gooey, soft, luscious songs that are kind of like, you know, like, why didn't I write that? Could you take my picture? Because I won't remember. You know, this one song is like, I just want to get high as a motherfucker. And it's so beautifully done that you kind of forget the fact that I'm saying motherfucker in it. Like, and so there's still barriers and boundaries to be broken in music. And now with streaming and the fact that like, I don't have to worry about my language anymore. I don't have to worry about, like, you know, there's songs out there. There's like the number one song on Spotify was, if it's not still number one now, it was like, it was number one a few days ago or weeks ago, but it was like, I'll always be your fucking friend. You know what I mean? Like, they're just swearing. They don't give a shit. And in our world, it was, you know, you can't get on MTV if you're going to swear like that. You know, like it was always, or at least you can't be on MTV at night, you know, or you'd have to like make all these sacrifices for the different platforms and everything. And now it's just free as a bird. You can say whatever you want. And so it's in many ways, I'm just testing the boundaries of my audience once again. What's left of my audience. I'm just being, you know, because we got super popular, like pop, like with Take a Picture, and like, you know, the people that we used to laugh because people would buy that record and it's like Chicago, dun 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 dun, you know, with Welcome to the Fold, like we're bludgeoning them, like, you fucking bought this record, now you're gonna have to listen. You know what I mean? Like that.
And then you've got a song like Miss Blue on that. That was that record, right?
Miss Blue was the last song because it was so damn mellow. Cause see, to me, records are parties. Like like the minute, like, okay, we're going to the party and crank on some Pantera or some, you know, Led Zeppelin or now it's, you know, Dead Mouse or something like that. And and then all of a sudden everyone starts getting, you know, out there at the party and they're having fun and they're rocking. And then the next thing you know, like someone lights a joint. And so now we're trying to mellow out, maybe change the channel a little bit, maybe kind of dull it down a little bit, maybe. And then later on you get a little way moodier or maybe a little sentimental and you're a little sloppy and you're singing about Miss Blue and you're doing it, you know, like, I write albums for albums, you know, to be like listened from start to finish. You know what I mean?
Which is fantastic because there's so much now in the Spotify world where it's like just singles. And I feel like the art of it makes me sound like I'm 70. I'm just turned 39 this week, but like, I feel like the art of the album has gone away. And I love, like, I just bought a new record player for myself for my birthday because right. I like the fact that it's a commitment to put on an album and listen to it. Like, it's not just clicking through like an iPod or whatever has its place, but the commitment to sit down, put on a record and listen to it. Like,
yeah, my earliest memory, like one of my earliest memories was my brother Robert giving me the record collection. He was like, this is my record collection. You are now old enough where you can put the record in here and you can take the needle and you can drop it down. If you scratch these records, I'm going to kick your ass. This is the term. My brother was the Terminator in Terminator 2.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So literally the Terminator going, if you scratch my records, boy, I'm going to kick your ass. You know, I'm 10, you know, but and I would listen to The Clash. That was The Clash is another one of those bands where within the same record, it's just jazz, reggae, punk, you know, like they change their sound, like they change, you know, their underwear, you know, they're crazy. And but yeah, and you get in with a vinyl record and you sit there and you put that needle down and you're, you know, and you listen to it. It's a commitment. It was a commitment back then. It was a commitment to take the record out of the sleeve and blow some of the dust off, maybe clean the record and like, okay, that's, you know what I mean? Like, and people are so inundated with everything. And I was talking to a new friend of mine. His name is Sam Tanise, and he did a great cover of Welcome to the Fold. But he's like, or no, not Welcome to the Fold. Take a Picture. Sorry. I urge all your followers to check it out. But he was like, man, you gotta do some other stuff. I'm like, yeah, look at Little Pump. Little Pump is the biggest rock star on the planet. Like, he is a bigger rock star than any rock star that's been, and why? Because he fucking smokes pot through his fucking AK-47. He puts the bowl down in the bolt and smokes the tip of the of the AK-47. He throws money off of balconies. He pees on it first. Then he throws $100 bills off into the city of wherever he's staying at. I mean, that's fucking rock star shit.
It's the equivalent of like when Zeppelin would trash a hotel room. That's what it is now.
Yeah, but still, there was a little bit of shyness and like, oh, we didn't want it to get out. This guy's literally Instagramming him peeing on money and then throwing it off a balcony like, silly motherfuckers, haha. You know, like, and to me, that's the most beautiful thing in the world, because that's what rock stars, that's what being a rock musician. Rock musicians are, the entire thing behind being a rock star is freedom. It's being able to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want, say whatever you want to say to millions of people, and just sit there and kind of, and that's what scares, you know, that's what scares so many people. And that's why people get furious with rock stars, because rock stars get away with it.
What was your, and I don't know if you even want to say or can say, what was your biggest rock star moment? Like, not like show wise or big show, but like craziest kind of, if you can say, or even want to say. If you don't want to say, that's fine.
I'm walking in with a briefcase of like $60,000 and like buying a BMW. Like, I want the black one right there. Okay, here. You know, like, give me my papers. You know,
they
like,
just look at you.
They're just like, what? Hi, Filter. Hi, Mr. Lead Singer Filter. We know who you are. Don't you have a bank? Yeah, no, I always wanted to do this. You know, like, like just stupid shit. I mean, there's the plane incidents. I smoking a cigarette on a plane, getting kicked out. But getting kicked out, oh, Jesus Christ. Getting kicked out, I hope my kids don't watch this, but getting kicked off of a plane, the police knew who I was. A cop friend of mine who is now I think he's now part of the FBI, but a cop friend of mine recognizing, okay, it's Richard Patrick. Okay, he suffers from a bad heart. Deliver him to a psych ward. I went to a psych ward for like half an hour, convinced everybody that I was okay. The nurse who was kind of in charge of me goes, all we need to do is get the doctor to just see you and tell you and say that you're fine. You just had a bad allergic reaction to alcohol at a certain level, and you just forgot where you were and you blacked out a little bit, but whatever. If you take me on a date, this is the nurse. If you take me on a date, I'll get you out of here in about 20 minutes. I'm like, done. And then like she called me like a week later, like, you know what? I'm kind of worried about you. I think just letting you out of there was a good idea, but maybe it was a bad idea. But like you might be too much of a crazy person for me. And I'm like, okay. Like,
so the date never happened.
So here I was facing a $27,000 fine and everything, and it just all got washed under the table because no one wants to really arrest a rock star in 1996, you know what I mean, or 1998 or whatever when it was. But yeah, that was pretty rock star, and nothing I'm proud of. It's nothing I'm proud of. I've been sober for 17 years, so you know, I owe a lot to sobriety and everything. But yeah, there was some crazy alcoholic moments.
Was it different performing for the first time once you got sober? Was it a different feeling?
It was extremely invigorating, and it was really easy. Because when you're poisoned 24 hours a day, you're slow and your senses are dull and it's hard, and you get used to being kind of, you know, dare I say the word retarded, but you drink yourself into this slowed down kind of, and you're dizzy and drunk and stupid and punch drunk 24 hours a day. Even when you're not drunk,
Mm-hmm.
even when you haven't had a drink in like 8 hours, you're still toxic and bitter and fucked up, and you don't want to do anything, and you're lethargic, and then you have a drink and you've got that half an hour window before you get like a blotto. And so performing for the first time, I sang at the Pond for remember that tsunami that happened back in like 2003 or whatever.
Right.
That was my first performance, and I sang like Whole Lotta Love by Led Zeppelin, you know.
So something easy to start with.
You know, really high. Yeah, it was, you know, something easy. Go sing, you know, Robert Plant in his.
No, it's just like, and I know like the majority of the music you make, it's a completely like a DIY style, which you can say like I have some recording stuff behind me. I'm nowhere near at the level what you're doing, but has that always been your approach? Because I know like the
No.
Really?
No, so the first DIY was Short Bus. Then number 2 was Title of Record. But on Title of Record, I started hiring people to come in and work, like good engineers. Like, you get enough money, you start hiring the right talent around you. And so I hired Ray DeLeo, and then, you know, of course, Ben Gross was no slouch, and he mixed all those records. So, you know, it would end up in a $3 million studio with like on an SSL board, and it would get treated like, so it started off, you know, almost crazy, you know, 4-track, 8-track, that kind of stuff. And we would use that, but we would ad lib more stuff and kind of add to it in bigger studios. So I became more reliant on people, and kind of more dependent on people. So this last record, and I tried to work with Brian Leesgang on it, he just disappeared. I don't know what happened to him, but he's just gone. I have now like gone back to me sitting with the computer and with my guitar collection. I feel like I should give you a virtual tour. I have like 18 guitars in this room.
I would love that. I'm a gear nerd, so I mean, but
it's like keyboards, and there's all kinds of stuff going on in here, and basses, and a couch, and I have just a big old fat iMac that has everything in it, and it's almost, there's so much sound I could kind of get carried away, like change filter forever, and you know, and it would be totally weird. But like I've had to like sit here and kind of focus on like what it was that made me want to get into filter. Like, why did I want to quit 9 Inch Nails? What did I want to say with filter? And so it's kind of made me realize how much of avant-garde kind of pissed off, angry little animal it was, you know, when it first started. And that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like when people hear the new stuff, they're going to be like, he ain't getting softer. Like, it's going to be just as mean, because I'm floored on how fucked up this country is. And you know, in the 90s, it was like we were pissed at what? Nothing. We were just mad. We were just kind of mad young people. But like, if Kurt Cobain were alive today, if Rage Against the Machine could stand each other enough to be writing records again, like, they'd be saying the same shit. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm just saying like what needs to be said. They got us right where they want us, at each other's throats.
Wasn't that originally supposed to be the title of the record?
It could still be. But America kind of sums up even that, because there is a side to America that is trying to divide, and it's the wealthy class. The wealthy class owns all the media, and one media company in general, Fox News, it's hell-bent on keeping people separated and pissed and divided. Because if we come together and we realize what the wealthy have been doing for the past 50 years, they would be out of business. The Republican Party would be completely gone as we knew it. And that's why they want division. That's why they want misinformation. That's why he got help from Russia, because he agrees with Russia. He agrees with divide and conquer, just like Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon, we're going to show those damn hippies who's what, you know, and and that whole thing, and that class of people, that wealthy class. And it's a party that none of us are invited to, as George Carlin said. None of us are invited, but these wealthy people like the Mercers, people like, the they have just tons of broadcast, networks, all their, local networks, everything. They have tons of and the only other guy on the liberal side of it is Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is just like a fuck you. Here's MSNBC. Here's the liberal side of it. And so like, but the sad thing is the truth is actually what does come out after a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
That I can kind of see that as a 50-year-old person, I can kind of see what's happening now that I've been around the world 20 times, and I'm a worldly person, and I've traveled and I've done a lot of stuff, and I've seen a lot of things, and I would never have even approached this kind of subject matter when I was a kid. When I was a kid, or even on Amalgamut or Sun Comes Out Tonight, it was more inward and kind of self-absorbed kind of. But now it's so obvious, like, oh, this is what they're doing. And
Is this whole? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, is the new record, is it entirely like politically charged then, based off of the craziness that's happening?
No, because my favorite song is Getting High Like a Motherfucker. It's what would the average person do being so confused and so put upon. They're overwhelmed with information. A lot of it's wrong. Facebook. I mean, Facebook, the natural disaster that is Facebook.
Well, have you seen all of the Bill Gates conspiracy theories now about like he's gonna microchip the vaccine and track people, and I'm just like, how do people buy into all of this?
They're dumb. They're dumb, and of course they're dumb, because America's number 25th and the 25th in the world in education. They're sick. They're overworked. They're poor. Most Americans make 80 grand a year, 30 grand, 40 grand a year. Most American, 99% of Americans. If you're not in that 1%, I'm in the 1%. You know what I mean? And I'm barely in the 1%. But like most people have two jobs. Of course there's unemployment, sure. before COVID. Of course there's unemployment. Everybody's got two fucking jobs. Everybody's overworked. No one has time for their fucking kids. Their kids are growing up dumb. The education system is overwhelmed. There's no money in being a teacher. You got to make money, man. You got to make money. The obsession on the dollar. So all of this stuff is just fodder. It's just, and in filter, it comes out in just poetry and shocking statements sometimes. And, hey man, nice shot. Yeah, you killed yourself. Hey man, nice shot. What were you trying to do? Like, I've always been, and the person that told me not to tell anybody what that song was about, the number one person that told me, like, Rich, you can never, ever tell anybody what that song is about, that person was Trent Reznor.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he say,
tell anybody what that song's about? And I'm like, bullshit.
Did he say why? Just because it would be too controversial?
Too controversial. You're going to turn people off.
And I know people thought initially it was about Kurt Cobain. And
yeah.
Did you, I mean, obviously, like, I've read that the song was written years before that ever happened with him. Was it frustrating for you to have to clarify that at the time?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically, the worst part about it was, I didn't want Chris and Dave thinking that I was out there, traipsing around with Kurt Cobain's corpse and and like making money off of him. Mm-hmm. But I did say the song was about suicide, and then it leaked from the record company, because I was like, I don't know if anyone should know about this, and Trent's words were kind of in my head, but they were like, fuck that. the label was like, it's about that guy that blew his head off at the press conference, Arba Dwyer. And so the word, it was out like in a minute. Billboard, my first interview with Billboard, they actually, they're like, we heard it's about this guy, Arba Dwyer. I'm like, well, yeah. And I was still sensitive because I was worried about his family finding out about it.
Sure.
And remember, it was inspired by Arba Dwyer. I mean, you know, some of the lines in it are exactly, you know, like those who are right there got a new kind of fear, meaning his audience.
Sure.
There and they'll never forget. Like, hopefully they'll be stronger for it. Like, hopefully they won't have traumatic, you know, memories of it. They'll actually be grateful that they're alive in some way. Yeah, you know, like so. But I was worried that his family was going to find out. But then the cat was out of the bag, and to me, as a 26-year-old kid, like, what am I going to write about? You know, I don't know enough, and so I brought up these big swatches of topics, like, is LSD bad? Is taking LSD bad or good? You know, is my generation really spent? Is Generation X really shit? Like, you know, like, are we worse off than our parents? You know, Generation X, you know, that kind of thing. Spent, the song Spent. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, you know, I bring up a lot of stuff when I sing. A lot of it's personal, but a lot of it, this record is like wholesale, like kind of like it's very much about America, or America as okay.
Do you have a ETA on when it might come out? Because I'm sure, like, the way that the world is now with COVID, like, everything's kind of on hold.
Well, believe it or not, people are listening more than they ever have. You know, people are really like people are listening more than they've ever listened. So I feel like I want to make it this year, but again, it's got to be just right. I think, I hate to say it, but you'll probably get singles. You'll probably get singles that are going to be underneath the umbrella or the album America, or they've got us right where they want us. I haven't decided.
Now, can we talk a little bit about the other projects outside of Filter that you've worked on?
Yeah.
Is there going to be, and I'm sure you've been asked this before, another Army of Anyone record? Because that record was so underrated.
Well, here's the deal. I wrote a song called Summer Child with Brian Lee's gang. And I said, we are now not working on a Filter song. We are working on an Army of Anyone song, because it's so iconically that. And so I sent that song to Robert DeLeo and Dean DeLeo and Ray Luzier. And Ray instantly said, send me the stems. I'm playing drums on it as soon as possible. And then I'm trying to get the DeLeos to come to my studio and re-record, like, get rid of my guitar. Well, you know, I am a guitar player, so I'll have one track of me playing guitar, and then they can do whatever they want, and I'll just be like this quiet little thing that's swished down to nothing, and like they can have the rest of the frequencies and the bass and everything.
I would love to hear because that record was so good.
This song is really, really good, and they're like, fucking A, Rich, this is really great. So it's kind of, I'm like one and done. Like I did all my work on it. I'm just trying to convince the DeLeo brothers, because, you know, they're busy men. They have kids and everything, and they've got Stone Temple Pilots, and they don't, you know, but they have tons of work that they can do with Stone Temple Pilots, and so I'm not. I hope. And by the way, this is an exclusive. You now have the exclusive on this. I've never told anyone about this, but
I appreciate that.
But yeah, I see Army of Anyone at least having this one song come out at some point, and hopefully it'll get done. Those guys are my heroes. Like, I loved Stone Temple Pilots before I even knew them, and then all of a sudden I was in Army of Anyone. So, and of course Ray Luzier is the most gifted drummer. He's like probably like one of the most world famous, you know, musicians out there. I mean, he's literally the best drummer out there. I mean, he really is.
He's played with David Lee Roth and KoRn. Like, where
Yeah.
ends of the spectrum there?
But because of his insanity, his insane ability to capture a song musically and understand it, he can do anything. He can do so many amazing things that kind of getting a little more, Americana kind of rock and roll like the DeLeos is really easy for him, and he comes in and just kind of enhances everything. It's really an honor to be in a band with those guys.
Now, was the song from the Underworld soundtrack, the Damning Well, that group, was that ever intended to be more than like a one-off thing, or was there supposed to be a record with that?
Well, West Borland had this collection of like 10 like 20-minute songs, and it was just hours of music, of like literally one song was a 20-minute song, and like the one part would happen and then that's it, and then it would just go to another part and another part and another part. And like I was way more into I'm like, I don't want to do Jethro Tull. I want to do like the Rolling Stones. Like I would rather have 3-minute songs, 4-minute songs. I just wasn't interested in going on like this massive. And so I kind of walked out of it. I was like, I'll do Underworld and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do these big long opuses. Leave that to Tool,
Yeah, right.
Like they can do it. They can have that. I don't want to have to, I just like writing pop songs. I like writing songs that are 3 or 4 minutes each, and 4.5 minutes is way too long sometimes for, I mean, I'm not saying I don't listen to Tool, because I love Tool and I listen to Tool. I'm just saying not everyone's that great at it. And I just would, me personally, my writing ability, I just like to keep them 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 4 minutes. That's kind of my vibe.
And then is it cool if I ask a couple more? I don't know. I don't want to keep you like all day.
I got a few more.
Okay. So what's your opinion on like how major labels are now versus where it was like 10, 15 years ago? Like, I feel like you almost don't need the label to oversee your project. It's more of a distribution thing now instead of like that's like the new way.
Well, I mean, I've got 20,000 Insta followers, and I have 250,000 Facebook followers. So for me, and I've got 1 million Shazam followers. So for me, I feel like if I went digital and just was like, look, here's my new music, and just went on all the platforms at the same time, just said it is now available in streaming. If we get to a point where we feel like I could sell, 20,000 or 30,000 vinyls, I'd make them. You know what I mean? But I really literally want to have a system so that I can just kind of plug in my brand new WAV file that I got, that's just my thing, and plug that into my digital social media stuff and just say, there it is. Because a label, in many respects, and this was kind of a bummer, in many respects, they hold you back. Sometimes, not all the time. Kraft actually is amazing because they just kind of re-released, but they're still a great label. Like Kraft Recordings, they're an amazing label. They quickly release something. But sometimes, labels can get in there and you get too many cooks in the kitchen, and the next thing you know, you're watered down and all the rough edges are scraped away, and you're not as interesting as you were 15 minutes ago before the executives came in and told you that you got to compete with the likes of oh man, you wouldn't believe how many I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you ever say that. Like there was one time I was like, hey, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you ever fucking tell me to fucking. There was a band that someone had mentioned, like, because they had made it off of that band. I'll never say who it is, but I was like, really? You want me to be like that? And they're like, well, no, we don't want you to be like that. It's just that there's this amazing, I'm like, you just mentioned this band that I think it was like, it was just, I was like, it was just like, I can't even remember like the band's name. It was like, who's that guy? Oh, forget it. I don't want to get in trouble. But it was like one of these bands that was like, you knew they weren't going to be around very long. And it was like, are you fucking serious? You're trying to tell me to fucking be like that? And I literally said, if I ever see that guy again in the studio, I'll fucking kill him. They're like, well, that's your A&R guy. And he's your A&R guy. He's your artist relations person. So if you want to kill him, we're not doing well. And like we ended up later having like lunch and like, I'm still gonna kill you if you ever say that again. You know, like we ended up like apologizing to each other and everything. But yeah, it's you know, it's music, man. It's my soul. It's my baby. You know, it's, you know.
How do you keep your voice in shape? I know that's like, cause some of the, like, it depends on the, like, hey man, nice shot being sung now. Like, how do you do that?
Hey man, like it's, I mean, that's kind of the unwarmed up version, but it's kind of there. It's just always on tap. I'm a tenor.
Do you warm up before shows?
Yo, yeah. And they're crazy. They're like, like that for like 20 minutes.
Who do you think now, like if you said who's kind of turning the music industry on its ear, like who is there anybody out there? Scarlord, sorry.
Yeah, Billie Eilish, Scarlord as well. There's another guy, I think Ghost Man or something. You've heard about this guy Ghost Man. But Rez is my EDM favorite right now. REZZ.
I'm gonna have to look it up after we're done too, because
yeah, you know, I just saw her play at the Greek Theater. You know, like no one knows who she is except she just played at the Greek Theater like in October and like fucking blew me away. I was second row. It's the first time I've been to a concert where I was second row, bought the tickets, paid hundreds of dollars, got to the front row. It's one person. She's got a big, huge light show. She stands there with her little EDM stuff and these killer little goggles that are just like moving back and forth, her eyes moving back and forth, like, you know, and it's just amazing. It's like the greatest fucking music, super loud. Like I was right next to the speaker. I'm still partially probably a little deaf in my right ear. But I accepted it. I just was just letting it wash over me, this insane energy. And it was like, I was the oldest guy there. And people are like, what are you doing here? Can I move here? Can I sit? Like, and I'm like, come on, man, I'm here. This is my spot. I'm not moving. You know, like, come on, I know how to make you leave. You're so fucking hot. Like these like little kids trying to creep me out or something. I'm like, dude, really? You think you can creep me out, motherfucker?
Do you have any advice for any rock bands now who are trying to make a dent in music?
I would have to say, go for it as hard as you fucking can. When I see the Post Malone and all the kids with the tattoos, I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of shit. That's the kind of fucking crazy. I mean, Marilyn Manson fucking drove people fucking crazy because he was so fucking avant-garde and crazy for the time. So was Trent. And I was right on the end. I was like the guy. See, I was the guy in Trent's ear saying heavier, darker, meaner, heavier, darker, meaner, heavier, darker, meaner. Like, because there was, on Pretty Hate Machine, he could have gone either way. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got me working so hard lately, working my hands until they bleed. If I was twice the man I could. Like, I'm singing the song, bro. I'm not picking on him. I'm singing the fucking song. I'm not, you know, but that's kind of where it was at. It was a little bit like he was right on the edge of like, Information Society. Look that one up. And like that kind of like, are we techno guys or are we gonna fucking beat people's asses?
Because wasn't he in a band like that before 9 Inch Nails? Didn't he play keys or something?
The Exotic Birds.
And
dancing on the airwaves. I hear the music dancing in my, something like that.
I'm going to have to find that too and just listen to it. If it's out there. I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
There was a little danger. He could have gone a little bit more Depeche Mode and not enough fucking Ministry. And that was my thing. And that's why on the Broken EP, he said, I'd like to thank my live band for being an influence. And I was an influence on that. I was on the whole, my existence in 9 Inch Nails was to man it up and be Piggy and be as hard as fuck and fucking throw shit. But I threw beer off that stage. I don't know how we didn't get sued. Dude, I would throw beer bottles off that stage. I would smack fucking security guards on the back of their head when they were too hard on the crowd. I would jump into the audience. I'd fucking feet first, into the mosh pit. And fucking, we were hard, And then when I split, I left my mark. I could tell that I left my mark.
Do you think you guys would ever work together again, either for a one-off or?
Well, he's actually fucking super duper. I mean, he's way up there working on all kinds of different projects with all types of people. I don't know. Sometimes at one point he was saying, why don't you sing on this thing I have called Tapeworm? And that just disappeared. That project just disappeared. But he was working with Zach from, I don't know. There's all kinds of projects out there that I don't know if they ever came out or whatever, but we did talk at some point, but I don't know. I like him as my buddy. Like he's like, we're friends. He's met my children. You know what I mean? I've met his kids,
mm-hmm.
Newest two that just showed up the last couple of years, but we have a good friend relationship, and that's kind of the only thing that matters to me, is that because I have plenty to do in my own career, and he has plenty to do in his own career, and it's not something that I would turn down. I just don't know if it would probably ever happen.
And last question, and then I totally appreciate your time today, man. I really do. Yep. One song in the history of all time and space that you're like, damn, I wish I wrote that. What is it?
The Unforgettable Fire by U2.
Didn't even have to think about it. Like there,
that song in an era that was so god awfully cheesy. The 80s. 1984. Juicy's got a big da-da-da-da-da. And these guys in 1984 are like, ice, your rivers run cold, these city lights, just the most gorgeous guitar. Brian Eno, Danielle Lenoir, The Edge playing piano and guitar at the same time. I always thought that was cool how he did that. Bono, his lyrics are so beyond the shit that was coming out at that time. The fucking hair metal, the fucking, she's only 17, that shit, that fucking.
Right.
So they were this like elegant, amazing, and if you listen to the song now, you should crank that right now. Just crank it in your home. I might even do it. If you listen, it's so just a beat. It was like listening to like Jesus Christ come down from the. I mean, I don't know what Jesus. I'm saying it was like a UFO landed on my front yard. Like, how the fuck could I possibly understand what was happening? And remember, I was 14. I was like blown away by it, and
stuck with you your whole life. That's how music is powerful.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of their stuff that I wish I wrote. Beautiful Day, just Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. Just We Don't Need Education, the guitar solos
Just
and
the guitar solo in that song, man.
oh
It's
my, it's so tasteful. It's so elegant and tasteful, and it's not gaudy, and it's not masturbatory or muscle flexing, shit,
I'd
but
rather listen to that solo over like an Yngwie Malmsteen solo any day of the week.
yeah, I appreciate. I mean, I can appreciate, but have you been on like Facebook where you see someone playing guitar and like you're in that loop where like, oh, there's another one, and then you see them playing guitar, and then like, oh, there's another one right underneath that. It's some guy playing guitar, and they're genius. They're like fucking insane, like where they're sweeping and they're doing all this shit. And it's just like, okay, anyone can do it. Like everyone and anyone can do it. Here it is on Facebook, proof positive that there's millions of people that can sit there and do this shit with a guitar, and it still doesn't. It's like after you heard one, you heard them all, and it's like, I have a deep appreciation for the people that sit there and learn their scales. But I would rather obviously listen to a David Gilmour solo any day of the week, or The Edge. The Edge doesn't even have solos. I mean, he does exactly what's needed per song, and that's it.
It's texture and it's vibe.
Yeah, it's texture, it's vibe, and that's honestly what my scores are like. It's just sounds, and I do drone scores, and if I want to get really technical and write something orchestral, I'll collaborate with some people and I'll work on it from that level. But I'm into the experimental side, the Brian Eno side, the ambient records that he made back then, and that's what's always done it for me musically. It's like, getting feedback. I remember when I discovered feedback. My brother Robert goes, "Oh my God, he's discovered feedback. Leave him alone. Leave him alone."
All the effects pedals on, you kind of got the mic in front of the guitar up against the amp, just looping.
Yeah. I could do that I do that. That's what I do with this computer 24 hours a day. I just sit there and make fucking, and that to me is like, job well done. Like, I made one decent sound today. Great, done. Like, I love it.
Dude, I appreciate your time. I know it's been about an hour, so I don't want to keep you. You're clearly busy. Is that studio in your house, or is that somewhere like away from home?
Commercial space that I do everything out of. I could give you like a tour if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I would love it just because I love that kind of stuff.
Can I switch cameras?
I don't know. Yes.
So this is my super duper studio. This is my Mac. It's my big Mac, and I have a little screen down here that I use for oh wow, someone's here. Hello? Who's there? Hey! Here's my preamps and my different analog things that I've been acquiring over the last couple of days.
Oh, nice. Some of the 500 series like modules and stuff.
Yeah, a bunch of 500 series stuff. My Apollo stuff. I just kept adding, like, first I got this, and then I was like, well, I'll just get an 8, and then I'll get satellites, and so I have all these different satellites. I have so many guitars, just tons. This is Golden Boy. This is a like a 12-pound Telecaster.
Jesus.
Heavy as hell.
Is that an LP custom back there, the black one?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is given to me by Trent.
Oh, wow.
Trent gave me that. He smashed the guitar that I bought as a caddy. I bought a guitar with the money I made being a teenage caddy at a country club.
Mm-hmm.
And he smashed it. And so he bought me that as like he's like, that's cooler. I'm like, I guess so. And then, but I still love it. And then I have like just tons and tons of different stuff. A lot of Strats. Like, this is just a gorgeous Stratocaster. Lots of these. Another Les Paul.
Oh, that's cool looking.
Yeah.
Like the burst on it. I'm a Les Paul guy for whatever reason. I used to hate him, and then I started playing him a few years ago. Well, probably about over a decade ago now, and I don't know why. I just gravitate to that.
I have these custom G&Ls.
Oh, cool. What's your amp of choice? Are you like Kemper Fractal type now?
I like the digital world, but I love Marshall. I use an Apollo, not Apollo, a UAD Marshall kind of virtual guitar amp. But I'll make anything work. I'll use a Black Star.
Oh, right on.
These things have sustainer pickups in them, and these are all my tellies are like 12 pounds
with a Floyd Rose on it. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah. Wes Borland was quite jealous of that guitar.
That guy, man, he's got some odd stuff too.
He's got some weird, wild stuff. I just got this new Phantom, Roland Phantom. I'm messing around with it. Yeah.
That's such a cool space too, and it just what's cool about it is it's obviously functional, but feels cozy at the same time. So you can go there and just kind of lose the day.
Got it sound deadened in here, and then over here, the live room is where they created. This is insane. This is where they created DTS sound.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So this is the birthplace of 3,000 theaters.
Wow.
In the country. This was their laboratory, and the O'Quinns rented it for Damascus Road Productions, and they put in this window, and this used to be the projection room back here, my studio. And they had a big, huge projector in here and all the sound equipment. And so when it got to digital and they started, slimming everything down, now the whole theater just runs through that Apple TV. Wow. And fully surround. So when I work on movies, I make the music score right here, and then when my clients come in, I sit them down and we just watch it together in here, and it sounds awesome.
Say no better place to do that then, man. Look at that.
Yeah. Got your drawers full of, vodka bottles, hidden whiskey bottles and stuff in here. But some producers need to take the edge off. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that is a hell of a spot. If I imagine you can just feels like you're there for an hour, you're there all day, and you're like, well, shit, it's midnight already.
Yeah, it is like that. I just worked on a TV show theme today, and it took me 15 minutes to come up with it. I thought it was going to take me all day, so I kind of like, my day's over when I complete one good solid idea. Mm-hmm. And like, okay, cool, now I just need to flesh it out. I'll do that tomorrow. But sometimes I'm in here and I forget that it's like I've been in here for hours and hours, and I come out and it's midnight because there's no clocks in here other than like my watch.
Right. Because then you're, watching the clock, and you can't be creative when you're really watching the time. I just feel like it's counterproductive.
Yeah. Well, you can't, you have to work, and you have to finish your ideas, and you have to like, you have to be as conducive and as you can't, because it's sometimes you just want to like, fuck it, like I'm gonna quit today, or I'm gonna give up on this, and you have to literally sit there until a spark happens. And but usually when you get an idea, it's like that's when the time evaporates, because you're like, what? It's like I'm working on this.
That's haunting, but I mean that in the best way.
It's a British comedy show that's coming out, and I'm in the running to be doing it. And it's called Paul Dudd's Deadly Lunch Break. And that's just the idea I came up with for them. And that's kind of it. That's all I needed to do today, is just work on that. And then I'll move on to a movie score that I'm working on. I have 2 movie scores I'm working on right now. One is kind of a redo, and then this other one that I'm doing for my friend Brian Skiba. And I'm working on a documentary called Devil's Jaw, which is where back in the 20s there was a massive naval disaster. The Navy was supposed to parade their entire Pacific fleet, and it got smashed up against the rocks of Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an embarrassment. And there's newsreel footage of like 3 battleships just washed up on the shore of Santa Monica, and no one's talked about it in like 100 years. So I'm doing the score for that documentary. And I just, I'm constantly busy doing stuff like that for music. And it's what's kept me happy all these years as I turn my around.
What software are you using?
I like Logic Pro X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Logic Pro X has gotten an update, so it's a lot more like Ableton. And like you can create these little cells of music and like throw them around and move them in different spots and experiment with it. And there's all these brand new effects that just came out with it. So I love Logic Pro X. Logic Pro X is quickly becoming kind of the new Pro Tools. Pro Tools is weird because like it's industry standard, but it's kind of like, they have a controller that like is $150,000, and it's like a controller. And here's my piano controller. This is $200, right? This is my piano controller. It's $250. It's basically it's the same thing as Pro Tools is trying to sell for like $50,000. Like
it's basically it's a big mouse. It just it controls everything. Yeah. There's no audio flows through it.
Yeah, no audio flows. And so it's just like, what are you doing? What are you trying to pull on us? It's like Uncle Owen on Tatooine. What are you trying to pull on us?
I saw the Boba Fett helmet over there.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I got a speeder bike guy over here. Anyways, it was really nice talking to you.
Richard, thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the time. I am excited to hear the new filter stuff. America, if that's what it ends up being.
America, they got us right where they want us, at each other's throats.
And the hopefully you can talk those DeLeo brothers into laying down some tracks, man. I want to hear that too.
Oh, it's gonna be great. I'm very excited. Ray's gonna put the drums on it first, and then I'll get the two DeLeo guys in here. Maybe they'll help me finish it, and we can call it Army of Anyone for sure. So
that would be fantastic, dude. Thank you so much, man. Continued success for you. Nothing but the best, and I hope during these crazy times you and your family staying safe and healthy.
You got it. I appreciate it, and thank you for the interest. And I hope everything goes good for you and your family and all your friends. And stay positive and wash your hands.
That's right, man.
You got it.
Richard. Have a great day.
It was great talking to you. We'll see you soon.